See this? Western media outlets are telling you that China has imposed a tough security law on Hong Kong. Ooh. But I live in Hong Kong and people in general here are happy about it. Why? Because we know something that the world is not being told. And I'm going to tell you what. First, this law specifically targets the hybrid warfare techniques used by the US and often called colour revolutions. Hong Kong leader John Lee said that in so many words. Now, the technique is for US agents to quietly go overseas and incite protests that build a very particular narrative. Let me show you. The same colour revolution script was used in Hong Kong in 2019 and reused in Bangkok afterwards. Now, on the left is the Hong Kong narrative and on the right is the Bangkok narrative. You can see the same script. And that's what the Western media delivers to the world. Not the truth, but the narratives concocted by the US State Department. Second, Hong Kong people are happy as there's a clear giveaway sign that these laws are working. They're successful in protecting ordinary Hong Kong people from US interference. And what's that sign? Well, people associated with stirring up conflict coincidentally decided to leave just before the laws are passed. So just before Hong Kong's first security law was passed in 2020, Kong Tsung-gan, the loudest columnist of the Hong Kong Free Press, decided it was time for him to leave the city. Now, he was really a white guy named Brian Kern who had constructed elaborate fake Chinese personalities to provide quotes for the world's media that specifically backed up the fake narrative. This man also left. Mark Syme was the bagman for Apple Daily. There were others too. Now, just a few days ago, before the current security law was passed, local media reported the closure of the Hong Kong offices of Radio Free Asia, a fake journalism group originally set up by the CIA and which runs a cash distribution unit called the OTF. Now, the OTF secretly provided funds to Hong Kong's violent anti-government movement. They coincidentally decided to leave too. Number 3, this is important. The mainstream media forgets to report the terrifying violence of 2019. Why? Because if they reported it, it would entirely justify the need for Article 23. So let me remind everyone. There were more than 100 violent incidents, but I'll mention just a few. In one incident, enough explosive to blow up an entire building were found at the entrance to a Wan Chai school, a school at which I had recently given a talk to a lovely group of children. On another night, investigators found 2.6 tons of chemicals, including nitrate, sulfur and magnesium, 60 electronic detonators, plus 3 half-completed IEDs at 3 separate bomb factories. On a third occasion, investigators found stashes of explosives using homemade TATP. Now, that's a high-grade explosive widely used by terrorists around the world, including in the London bombings of 2005 and in the Tamil Tiger bombings of the country of my birth. It's serious stuff. That alone justifies the need for these security laws. And that is why the Western media works really hard to cover up the violence of the Hong Kong anti-government movement and rebrand it as a pro-democracy movement. Number 4, the reports refer to Article 23, but they forget to mention that it is called Article 23 because it was number 23 in a list of laws considered necessary drawn up in the British era. Let me repeat that. A list of laws considered necessary drawn up in the British era. The top lawyer drafting that was a British trained lawyer operating under Hong Kong British common law and working under British governors. Yeah, that changes things, right? Number 5, Western media reports mention a big march against Article 23, but they forget to mention that the march long ago was organised by groups later revealed to be sponsored by the CIA's regime change spin-off, the National Endowment for Democracy. Now, I was one of the marchers. I brought my whole family. We marched because we had been reportedly told that it curtailed freedom of the press. But afterwards, I read it. It had 0 references to curtailing freedom of the press. At that time, nobody knew that the organisers were sponsored by the US. It was only afterwards that it became clear why the organising groups wanted to create fear against the new law, because the new law would have made it difficult for them to continue to take money from the US to create conflict in Hong Kong. Which brings us right back to where we started. The problem is US interference, hybrid warfare techniques causing massive harm to Hong Kong and many other places around the world. Now, I did a video recently showing shocking details of the very first US colour revolution, a hybrid warfare technique developed for use in Europe and celebrated in a top secret document. Now, this showed very clearly that the key tool for making hybrid warfare work is the media. And that is why the media is misleading the world about Article 23. Hong Kong people are not fooled. I hope you won't be fooled either. Read widely. Stay skeptical. Peace.